Okay, I wanted to do a quick video to get you guys ready for the second set of exercises, and I've already gotten an email. I meant to do this actually this weekend, and I've already gotten an email about this, so I apologize for my delay. So I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm going to jump into screen share so I can show you guys in D2L what this looks like, and then where to look for things. All right, so over here in D2L, so this is the week 3 content where you guys are now, and it says, to do, start exercises 2, due at the end of week 5. And then if you go into week 5, here's the drop box down here, exercises 2, and it goes into the details here. So let me read through this really quick because there were 2 things that I've gotten questions on. One is, the first question was basically, what is the selections project? So I have this, chapter 4 in chapter exercises, chapter 5 in chapter exercises, and this skills review, and then this selections project. Now it says AKA lesson 3, and then I call this the selections project, but the files are in the lesson 3 files. That's right here. Right here. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and download and show you guys what that looks like. So I'm going to download that file, open that up. And while that's downloading, I'll talk about, oh goodness, hopefully it doesn't actually take that long because I'm recording and doing this at the same time. I'll go back and look at the rest of the content. The next question is how to complete there's this last portion, the cropping and composition exercise. And it says, I want you to shoot 2 images. You're going to examine the images, evaluate the images based on compositional guidelines. Well, of course you're going to be confused by that because the compositional guidelines are actually the week 5 content. So if you're reading the week 3 content, which is, you're going to work on layers and actually starting to work on selections with Photoshop. And it doesn't. There's nothing in here about composition. And the next week we're doing copyright and ethics, and then week 5, photographic composition, which is when this is all due. So I group these exercises together, and you actually have to work through all the content to get to the point where you actually know what that all is. So my message here about the cropping and composition, that's going to make more sense after you have. I have here's the lecture presentation you'll read, and then you have the photographic composition, the UJA, and then, I think that's actually, that's what I have here. That's a video that, it's an older video, but it's still a good video to reference. I don't think I have a lecture recorded from my classroom section on this one, which was what I was hesitating there on. Okay, so hopefully that helps with what the cropping and composition exercise is. You are going to shoot a couple of images, your own images. Now, it's also important to note here that I'm actually asking you guys to do a brief 100-word evaluation of why you cropped the photos the way you did. And it says here, term drop. Because I want you to be using the compositional guidelines, the terms there. Okay, so now back to the selections project, aka lesson 3. I've downloaded that lesson, so I'll open that up. I'm going to show in Finder, and this will look different for you. I'm on a Mac, so this might look a little bit different for you. It's a different class. That's not the right one. Double click, and okay, so here's the files, and I'm going to jump over to Bridge because that's how I like to browse files. So where's my, no, jumping too fast. Downloads and lesson 3. Okay, so there's 3 files in the lesson 3. There's the start, the end, and then this PDF. Okay, so I'm going to open up both of those in Photoshop. Okay, don't need the timeline. And basically what's going to happen here is that you're going to start with this file and you're going to end with this file. So this is our first foray into, oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Into compositing images. You're going to be using selections and layers. This is a great exercise for getting to know selections and how to use layers to composite images. So compositing meaning essentially, I'm going to take all of these, which is, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different images, and by the time we're done, we'll have used selections to isolate each of those, well, not all, 6 of those, and layered them to look something like this. Okay. Now, I do have an old video that I ran for that, and so there should be, if I go back into here, let me see, I think it's, so this is my lecture video here, and that's going to be the one that has the, where I'm highlighting some of the selection tools. But it is an older video and some things look different. So I'm going to really quickly kind of highlight. Do watch that video because the information is still relevant. About adding to selections, subtracting from selections, little tips and tricks like transforming selections. That information is still relevant. But as we talked about already, a lot of things are changing. They're different in Photoshop. So let me go back here. Before I get too far, this is the instructions file, and this is a really cool exercise, but it's an old exercise. This is an exercise that I've been using for a long time. So it's just going to walk you through different things to do. Like this is how I used to do file naming conventions, and go ahead and do that. It also shows you how to do this thing called file info, which is really helpful for keeping data in your files that we can track later to help us tell who created a file, get things like cut line information, whatnot from it. And then it walks you through how to use different tools. The magic wand tool. So copy and paste, using the magic wand tool in conjunction with other tools, working with an ovular, a circular marquee. So it's just going to take you through different functionality, and it's really helpful. There's all kinds of great little shortcut tips in here. So do take advantage of this. And the instructions are going to be pretty close to the same, even though there's a difference in the software. Now, one of the things that I do want to show you, and this isn't even actually something that I think comes up in these instructions, but there used to be, and I'm sure the textbook is referencing, a tool called Refine Edge, and that is a totally different dialogue now. So I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to demo something here. So one of the cool things it has you do is you use a rectangular marquee to make a selection of this flower, but then also in conjunction, we're going to use the magic wand tool. So one of the things you're going to learn is to add to a selection, you're going to hold Shift. To subtract from a selection, you're going to hold Alt. So when I push Alt, you see my cursor changes, and now it's a negative symbol. And now I click, and now it's gotten rid of all of that white area around. So now there used to be they called it Refine Edge. It's now called Select and Mask. But don't let that trip you up, because really it's the same functionality. When you click on this Select and Mask, it looks different, but the functionality is still there, still pretty much the same. I like to actually do this so I can see the tool. So I can do this on black. You can change the view so that you can actually see the object that you're selecting. So I like to be able to see. So I'll use like an overlay or on black, where it's kind of like partially opaque. But there's some fun stuff in here, like the ability to feather selections. That's pretty handy. I use that a lot. And then there's some other things in here that are a little trickier, take some more time to get used to, like edge detection and smoothing things. But I just wanted to highlight that because I know that that is different in the latest version of the software, and I know when I saw it, it was even a little bit frustrating for me because I misunderstood it at first. But the functionality for Select and Mask is almost exactly the same functionality that we had when it was Refine Edge. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK, And now let me just really quick as I'm doing this. So now that I have that selected, I'm going to Control C, Control V, and now that flower on its own layer. Now, one of the things that happens on this exercise that drives young students, or well, I should say inexperienced students, just absolutely mad is, let's say I'm now going to make my selection of this little oval here. I like to call it a book label, and now I'll go up and I'm going to select. I'm going to transform my selection because it's easier than trying to draw the oval over and over again, just to transform that selection. I like to do things like work smart, then work hard. So made that. Okay, now I have the selection. Now this is going to happen a lot. I press Control C and it says could not complete the copy command because the selected area is empty. Now that will happen to inexperienced people, and then they get just incredibly frustrated. If you get that message, well, all that means is you don't have the correct layer selected. So if you look over here at my layers panel, I have layer 1 selected. There's nothing there on that layer. I have to click on the background layer, press Control C again, Control V, and now I have a new layer that has what I like to call the book label on it. Excuse me. But I just wanted to highlight that, and hopefully this video helps you guys out with how to get, of course, from this to this. Okay. So it's, like I said, great exercise for learning selections and also how layers function as well. So hopefully that helps. You guys have another 2.5 weeks here until this is actually due. Please do get a jump on it though, particularly the ones that you know how to do now. Like get on the selections, get on chapters 4 and 5, and then the cropping and composition project. You may want to wait until you've had a chance to get through some of the week 5 lecture content before you tackle that. But you should be able to get on that pretty quickly as well. So that's what I have for you. If you need anything, of course, as always, please contact me. Email is the best way to contact me. You can use the online discussion space. I'm trying to keep up on that. I'm a couple days behind right now, but I'll get caught back up with you guys. And yeah, just communicate with me. Let me know what you need, and I'm happy to help out any way I can.